Hello, Howie Bentley here. Welcome to episode number 3 of Sword and Sorcery Heavy Metal. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 classic sword and sorcery novels. Generally, when people make these lists, they start with 10 and count down to 1. I think with most of the choices I made here, the lower numbers are going to be pretty obvious books that a lot of people will agree on. But as we go up in numbers, there are going to be a few that maybe you don't even know about or wouldn't have thought to pick on a list of top 10. So I'm going to start with number 1, The Hour of the Dragon by Robert E. Howard. Toppled from the throne of Aquilonia by the evil machinations of an undead wizard, Conan must find the fabled jewel known as the Heart of Ahriman to reclaim his crown and save his life. The Hour of the Dragon is the first sword and sorcery novel ever written. It was serialized in Weird Tales in 5 parts, running from December 1935 to April 1936. It was the only Conan novel written by Robert E. Howard, so any other Conan novel you see is pastiche. Robert E. Howard was born January 22nd, 1906. You're going to be seeing this video a few days later, but I'm recording it on January 22nd, which would be Robert E. Howard's birthday. And I'm not much of a traditionalist, but I don't mind reading a Howard story and having a drink on his birthday. A little bit later on, I'm planning on reading The Challenge from Beyond, which was a round robin involving C.L. Moore, Abraham Merritt, Robert E. Howard, H.P. Lovecraft, and Frank Belknap Long. We've also got a bottle of Lefroy 10 years set aside for later on. So if you didn't know about that tradition, maybe you can catch it next year. Book 2 is Bloodstone by Carl Edward Wagner, published in 1975. In a dark swamp slumbers a secret relic of the days when creatures from the stars ruled Earth, waiting for the right man to wake it. Cain, the mystic warrior, is that man. In the booty captured in a savage raid, Cain discovers a ring, a bloodstone, which is the key to the power that lies buried, inactive, but not dead, within the swamp. Now Cain, whose bloody sword has slashed and killed for the glory of others, can rule them all. Book 3 is Dark Crusade by Carl Edward Wagner, yet another Cain novel, this one published in 1976. Out of the blackness of an almost forgotten past, a cult of ancient evil has come to life again, a daring outlaw its prophet on this earth. Thousands of converts are drawn to his dark crusade as the chaotic mob of religious fanatics washes over the civilized world. The old orders are destroyed and a hierarchy of anarchy takes over. Cain serves the evil cult for one purpose alone. He intends to rule the earth himself. Darkness Weaves by Carl Edward Wagner. Yes, another Cain novel. This was originally published in 1970 as Darkness Weaves with Many Shades, but the version shown here is just Darkness Weaves and was published in 1978. Once Ephraim was the beautiful consort of a king. Now she is a hideous creature who lives only for revenge. She has allies to aid her, but only Cain, the mystic swordsman, can rally her forces for battle. Only he can deliver the vengeance she has devised in her knowledge of black magic and in her power to unleash the demons of the deep. Book number 5 is The Broken Sword by Paul Anderson. It was originally published in 1954, but the version shown here was published in 1971 with the Boris Vallejo cover. Thor broke the sword Tyrfing to save the roots of Yggdrasil, the tree that binds earth, heaven, and hell. Now the elves need the weapon for their war against the trolls. Only Skaflock, a human kidnapped and raised by elves, can hope to persuade Bolverk the ice giant to make Tyrfing whole again. Book number 6 is The Sorcerer Shadow by David C. Smith, published in 1978. Now, this book involves a swordsman named Akram and a sorceress named Nidius. And there's a sort of a strange love affair between the two of them. And one really cool thing about this story is you have these different objects in these stories. Most notably, a lot of stories involve a magic sword or a magic ring or whatnot. Well, this story involves a sorcerer's skull as the object of power. This is an underrated gem by far. And if you get a chance, you should really pick this one up. Take a look at it. And book number 7 is The Drums of Chaos by Richard L. Tierney, published in 2008 by Mythos Books. Simon of Gitta, Richard L. Tierney's famous escaped gladiator turned occultist, has returned to the Holy Land to take revenge on the Roman officials who killed his parents and sold him into slavery. The Drums of Chaos show Simon at his most savage as he slays his foes and writes messages on the wall in their blood. Simon is a hellhound on his enemy's trail, but his plans are disrupted as apocalyptic supernatural events unfold and cross his path. It seems that there are a handful of different factions of sorcerers, all with their own agendas, not excluding Jesus Christ, the Son of Yahweh, aka Yog-Sothoth. And what would a list of the top 10 sword and sorcery novels be without a Michael Moorcock book on it? So here we go. Book 8 is Elric of Melniboné. For 10,000 years, Melniboné ruled the world. Elric, the 428th emperor, seemed destined to see that era come to an end. An albino, sustained by rare drugs, it fell to him to confront the rise of the young kingdoms, of the monsters and sorceries, which were threatening to overwhelm him and his ancient crown. Book number 9 is The Prisoner of the Horned Helmet by James Silk. It says on the cover by James Silk and Frank Frazetta. It's because Frank Frazetta created the Death Dealer character in paintings years before James Silk wrote these novels. These novels are good. The first one, The Prisoner of the Horned Helmet, is probably the best, is definitely the best of the lot. Book 2 is good. The series gets progressively weaker as it goes along. There are 4 books, but they're definitely worth picking up, checking them out. Check out the first one if you like that. Keep on rolling with the rest of them. Just be prepared to pay a pretty penny because these things are not easy to find for a reasonable price. I read The Prisoner of the Horned Helmet in 1988, the year it was published. These books are much better than the comics, the Death Dealer comics that Glenn Danzig did. Though those comics had great artwork, there was little to no script for them and no story. In an age before Atlantis rose, an age rife with sorcery and violence, the earth trembled beneath the all-conquering hooves of the Kidzak horde, and only one man, Gath of Baal, dares to confront the Kidzak lances, to stand between the never-defeated armies and the lush valley that will long millennia in the future be known as the Mediterranean Sea. To save the peaceful people of the forest, Gath must dice with the gods, and the price he must pay is to become death made flesh, the prisoner of the horned helmet. And the 10th and final novel is Kyric, Warlock Warrior by Garder Fox, published in 1975. Kyric, the mighty muscled warlock swordsman, is a hero for this or any other age. From mankind's darkest and most unremembered past, he comes striding, the ever unvanquished sword, blue fang glittering in his granite-like hand. Through the mists of man's prehistory, he comes a-questing for those who would enslave or destroy him for their evil gain. The greatest champion of all the known world, from the endless green sea to the Red Desert. Kyrek dominated his world and his era. And there it is, my top 10 classic sword and sorcery books. And some of you are probably going to say, well, you forgot this book, or what about this or that? You left that off the list, and that's fine. Why don't you make me a list and put it in the comments and let me check it out? That being said, I look forward to your comments. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week on Sword and Sorcery Heavy Metal.